Thank you everyone so much for tuning in to a unique new edition of STEM Connector's ongoing What's Working series. I'm Ashley Zofer and I lead external relations and strategic brand engagement for STEM Connector. And we have a great group of individuals with us today who are going to be presenting their virtual K-12 resources, and we're definitely very excited to dive in. For those who are new to STEM Connector, we are a professional services organization working with a cross-sector of leaders to build a diverse and sustainable STEM workforce through providing access to data and research on the STEM talent ecosystem, fostering connections among our innovative leaders, and amplifying the work happening across our network. As you may already know, the What's Working series keeps the STEM Connector community on top of promising practices and initiatives happening across our network. While the world and the way we do business is currently in a state of upheaval, and we're all working really hard together to stay healthy and stay safe while remaining connected across virtual platforms, STEM Connector members have myriad programs and initiatives to support you in this challenging time. So today is going to be the first in a series of What's Working webinars solely focusing on virtual resources for K-12 students from our member and partner organizations. We know that many of you are now homeschooling or planning for an undefined future of learning for your students and children, and we're hoping to help make that as seamless an experience as possible. We will also be providing additional webinars and Twitter chats on themes such as post-secondary learning, mentoring for women and girls in STEM, and reaching rural communities, among other things, on an ongoing basis. So please do keep following us on social media and STEM Daily for information about future virtual engagements and how you can participate. Thank you so much to all of our members who have worked in rapid response with us to get this content out to everyone. As this is a new format and process, we're still learning while we go, and we welcome feedback on the series, including suggestions for additional themes and platforms to highlight. One thing to note on this particular webinar is that we will not be opening up for live questions. If you do want to ask a question about a product or a program featured here, you can use the chat function on the webinar or follow up in an email, and we will be sure to direct your question to the speaker for follow-up. We're also going to be recording this webinar and sharing it with all of you to revisit as needed. So thank you so much, all of you again, and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Ted Wells, who is going to go ahead and introduce our first panelist.
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. I'm looking at the numbers, and we're like over 200 people have joined us. Very much appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and also our panelists taking the time to out of their busy schedules as they're in full out response mode. We are doing our best to support this community, and as Ashley said, we're very interested in learning your ideas about how we can support you better, and look forward to an ongoing series of webinars. We will be promoting this What's Working series with different partners through the month of April. So stay tuned. We'll have some announcements for you in the weeks ahead. Our first presenter today is Mind Research Institute, which is based in Irvine, California, right next to the UC Irvine campus, amongst a growing group of innovative enterprises across industries. And Mind Research is trying to do something quite simple. They're just trying to improve math proficiency for all students everywhere. Their evidence-based approach, high-quality products, are making a huge impact on this front. And their signature product that you're going to hear about today, ST Math, is widely used in schools, and I can personally attest to how well it's received by students, teachers, and parents having seen it in action. Today, we're going to hear from two speakers from Mind who will help explain not only some of the fundamentals about ST Math, but also how they're mobilizing resources outside of the traditional classroom environment to meet the learning needs of students. Karen Wu is Executive Vice President and Director of Social Impact at Mind, where she advances stakeholder understanding for the organization and also builds partnerships to support broader implementation of ST Math, as well as the development of new technologies to support stronger math acquisition. We will also hear from Kelsey Skaggs at Mind Research, who's in public relations and communications. And we're excited to have Mind speak to us today. You guys are a longtime STEM Connector member and partner and thought partner, and are doing such amazing work. So we really appreciate you both taking the time out of your day-to-day to speak to our audience, and look forward to hearing from you. Karen and Kelsey.
Thank you, Ted. Just a quick sound check. Can everybody hear me? Ted, you can hear me?
You sound great.
Thank you. All right, good morning and good afternoon for the folks on the East Coast. I'm Karen Wu, and I'm here today with my colleague Kelsey Skaggs. I really want to thank STEM Connector for giving us this opportunity to share who we are and the resources we're offering to educators, administrators, and parents from all across the country. Next slide, please. So at Mind Research Institute, we're a nonprofit neuroscience social impact organization. We believe that teachers, administrators, families, and communities are part of a student's learning ecosystem, and we work to support that holistic system. We have several different initiatives in mind aimed at addressing that ecosystem, both inside and outside of the classroom. Our mission is to ensure that all students are mathematically equipped to solve the world's most challenging problems. Next slide. One of the big problems that we're here to help solve is the inequitable pathways to STEM careers. Most of you are really aware of this. At Mind, 70% of students impacted by our programs are from traditionally underserved populations. 2/3 of our partner schools serve low-income students. Providing all students with deep conceptual math understanding gives us more students the opportunity to pursue careers in STEM. Next slide. Thanks. Studies have shown that even more than literacy skills or positive student behaviors, early math skills are the #1 predictor of later academic success. The achievement gap in math proficiency is particularly high for students of Hispanic and African American ethnicities who experience disproportionately more challenges, including poverty and learning the English language. The lack of access to high quality math content, instruction, and experiences only widens this achievement gap. Next, please. Research shows that teaching math through visual representations improves student math performance significantly. Without language barriers, problems are accessible to all students regardless of skill level or language background. Neuroscience offers great insight into how people build an understanding of the world around them from infancy all the way through adulthood. So everything we do is based on leveraging how the brain actually learns. Next, please. Our flagship program, as Ted mentioned, ST-Math, is a pre-K through 8 visual instructional program that leverages the brain's innate spatial temporal reasoning ability to solve mathematical problems. ST-Math is a mastery-based program, which means students must pass each level with a score of 100%, really understand it, before the next level in a sequence becomes available to them. Each student has their own personalized journey and takes as long as they need to achieve mastery. And we have resources to help educators guide them through that. This ensures that students are building and demonstrating a strong conceptual foundation. And these are the number of students, teachers, and schools that ST-Math was serving before COVID-19. In a little bit, Kelsey will share the huge spike in demand that we're now experiencing. Next, please. WestEd recently published the largest study of its kind to evaluate an education technology math program nationally, including over 150,000 students between 2013 and 2016. What it shows is that ST-Math's visual approach makes the program accessible to all learners. When students of all levels, whether ELL, special education, or gifted, can problem solve without distractions, educators can see dramatic increases in achievement. In addition to broad data analysis, we also look at the success of school cohorts funded by our partners to ensure impact is achieved in communities across the country. Next, please. Speaking of partners, over the years, we have been fortunate to receive guidance, support, and recognition from amazing organizations, many of which are part of this network. I personally feel incredibly honored and grateful to see so many of our partners rise to the unprecedented needs that this COVID-19 crisis is presenting. And so here to share more about what we're doing is my colleague, Kelsey Skaggs. Next, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So here at Mind, one of our organization core values is problem solving. And oh boy, have we been getting to do a lot of that lately. Each morning, our team wakes up, looks at what's changed in the world overnight, and then we go, okay, now how can we help teachers, administrators, parents, and students? So here are some actions we've taken during COVID-19. We're now providing our flagship program, ST-Math, to schools and districts at no cost through the rest of this school year. Schools and districts that haven't used the program before can request access, and schools and districts that were previously only using ST-Math for certain grade bands can now request it for all of their students. We're really excited about that. We also made the decision to provide our ST-Math homeschool program at no cost through June 30th, 2020. As schools temporarily closed down due to the spread of COVID-19, more and more parents are finding themselves heavily responsible for their children's education. And we felt it was important for all parents to have access to ST Math as their students learn more from home. Next slide, please. Okay, so the impact of the recent actions we've taken has been overwhelming in a really heartening way. Since March 14th, over 450,000 students have joined ST Math. That number includes over 14,000 homeschools and 1,600 schools. That's a significant increase in the number of people we're welcoming into our ST Math community just in the past week. It brings the cumulative amount of who we're currently serving to over 1.7 million students, 6,600 schools, and we're now in all 50 states across the US. The demand for ST Math has skyrocketed, which is great, but we know that access isn't enough. Next slide, please. ST Math is a program that must be implemented well for student success. Our team has done a lot of pivoting over the last week and a half to ensure that teachers and parents have the resources they need to implement ST Math with fidelity, as well as form better relationships with math for themselves and their students. Before COVID-19, we'd found a lot of success with our Facebook group for ST Math teachers and administrators. There, our members share best practices with each other and offer support. It truly is a community. Since COVID-19, we've decided to create an additional Facebook group for ST Math parents to provide the same kind of support to each other. We have Mind Education Success Managers and other colleagues facilitating both of those groups and providing direct access to ST Math resources. We've also added information to and are creating additional resources for our stmath.com/coronavirus page, including how-tos, tips, webinars, and additional support. Additionally, we recognize the digital use divide and know that many of our existing students do not have the same digital access at home as they did at school. Our organization is working fast to provide even more resources outside of ST Math around topics like math anxiety and hands-on mathematical activities. Next slide, please. So this is a very challenging time for everyone right now, but luckily at Mind, our mission to ensure all students are mathematically equipped to solve the world's most challenging problems is what's guiding us. We know how important it is to keep meaningful learning happening at home, and our goal is to make ST Math accessible for all students. So here's how you can help. We'd love for you to share stmath.com/coronavirus with parents, schools, and districts. Oh, and your colleagues too. And on the bottom of that same webpage, you'll find an opportunity to donate to our organization if you're looking for further ways to support student learning. Back to you, Karen.
Thanks, Kelsey. Like many of you, whether you're an educator, part of a nonprofit or government agency or a corporation, I think we probably all feel like we're building the plane as we're flying it. So at Mind, we have known, we've always done better in a partnership with others. So if you'd like to work with us on serving more students, teachers, and parents through this crisis and beyond, hopefully soon we're going to be beyond this, please reach out to us. The email on the slide will come straight to me and my team, and we'll love to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Ted.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen. I just was looking through some of these questions, and I know we're not taking questions, but just a quick clarification. Till when is ST Math free? There was some questions about for how long folks can reach out to you guys.
Sure. Right now it is free through June 30th, so through the end of the school year.
That's great. Well, that is amazing. It's good to see some numbers that are showing positive things, right? So thank you very much for being so thoughtful and also so nimble and making this great resource available to more students and teachers.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you for all of our partners.
Thanks so much. Great. Well, moving on, this is definitely like the hit parade of STEM Connector partners today. We're really excited to have the 4 groups that we have on. Our next group is a well-known entity in the world of K-12 education. Discovery Education is the worldwide leader in standards-based digital curriculum resources for K-12 classrooms worldwide. For years, Discovery's been hard at work developing high-quality tools that enable students to explore STEM careers, master challenging STEM concepts, and enable students to explore the world around them, while also helping their teachers improve their craft as well. Discovery Education has been working hard to support STEM learning since the earliest days of this movement, and we believe they're well equipped to help educational stakeholders navigate today's challenges, particularly well equipped, one might argue. So today we're going to be hearing from a rock star in the world of education, Marty Creel, who serves as Discovery Education's Chief Academic Officer. He came to Discovery Education from Montgomery County Schools in Maryland. In his role at Discovery Education, Marty leads a team that develops the curriculum, content, and products that form the backbone of Discovery Education's U.S., international, and corporate partners business lines. Marty, you are very busy, so thank you very much for joining us today, and accept our thanks for connecting with our audience.
Thank you very much, Ted. I hope everybody can hear me and can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Great. So it's really great to be able to talk and share today, especially glad to be on a panel with people like ST Math. We really like all the work they do and have been amazed to see that work in classrooms. At Discovery Education, you may know that we are a derivative of Discovery Communications, the world's #1 nonfiction network. But you may not know that our education company, which takes a lot of the content from Discovery Communications and turns it into high quality educational content for students, is all over the world. We're in 90 plus countries. We are in front of 4.5 million educators and 45 million students worldwide. In the United States, we're in about close to 60% of all school districts. We have a lot of experience in digital learning, although I can't say that anything has prepared anyone for what we're going through right now. I was, as Ted mentioned, spent most of my career in a school district as an instructional leader and a curriculum leader. And we went through this with the H1N1 crisis in 2009, where we had to figure out how to teach offline. And it was a great challenge at that time. And what we have done at Discovery Education is prepare for moments like this, for digital learning, so that when students need to learn in a format that is not a traditional four-wall classroom, they have the ability to get there. And the way that we've done it is we've really gone through what we call holistic partnerships. We, of course, have the student and the teacher at the center of those partnerships, but working through our great instructional content, we probably have close to 300,000 different digital instructional objects, plus our professional development. I'll mention a little bit about that in a minute. And building out our teacher community, our DEN, our Discovery Educator Network. It's probably one of the most active educator networks digitally in the world. And we also dig deep into our corporate partnerships, and we found that being able to take the great information we can get from the many corporations around the world and bring that into students' hands has been a very helpful way for them to understand what careers are available to them as they grow up. But back to this immediate situation we all find ourselves in. As a former school district person, I can tell you #1 on my mind, and the people I talk to in schools right now, of course, is safety and security. And so they're making sure that students are being fed who traditionally rely on schools. But right after that, they're looking at, how do I return to instruction? And how do I support parents as students try to return to instruction, even though they may not physically return to their building? So what we've done is we've thought about that in ways that we can support school districts. And like ST, we've offered a large amount of our service free of charge for the rest of the school year for specific school districts that work with us. In fact, we've onboarded about, I think, close to 2 million students and teacher users in the last week and a half. Like ST, we're having an incredible spike in usage, and we're seeing that is going to help students in the long run really understand how they can learn sometimes when they're not in front of the teacher. And I think that's a great a great skill for students to have. Most students access our services through this platform. It's called the DEX platform, Discovery Education Experience Platform. You can see it here live. I'm showing you to it live on screen. We've organized it in what we call channels, so that not too dissimilar from what you might see from a streaming service that ends in flicks. Students are going to have an experience that's similar to other ways that they ingest information. So when I go into one of these experiences, this is a virus and outbreaks channel that we put together in the last week or so. We've curated grab and go content for students and teachers. We separate this by grade level so that, you know, there's something appropriate in 9-12. Middle school you see over here, and K-5 down there. We also create for teachers lesson starters so that they have an idea of how they could use this particular content. One thing that's really nice about the content is if I go into some of the content, like this is a video that's really, by the way, fascinating. It's about how soap is the most effective coronavirus killer. It's a really quick video.
Hand sanitizer has become a scarce commodity in a post-coronavirus
I won't
world.
go into it for you, but what's great about it is it's very easy for the teacher to assign it to their students. Either I can share it through existing learning management systems like Microsoft Office or Google Apps for Education, or I can just directly assign it through our service, where I would just put in an assignment date here and then send it to my students. I also have the ability to download videos, which is really great if I'm worried about you know, intermittent connectivity. I also have a way to build off of this.
Sold out in stores across the country, and
to really kind of build my own kind of lesson path if I want to as a teacher. If I don't want to go to that extent where I build a lesson path, we also built much more complex core instructional materials. Like this is a instructional tech book. This is a full curriculum. We call it a science tech book that features content from our partners and also content we've created directly for students so that they can learn science all the way through a full school year. We also include things such as coding and other very specific apps that help students learn. This type of kind of interface we found to be very helpful for students and teachers alike, not only because, you know, we developed it in HTML5, which, you know, gives us a lot of flexibility and allows us to resize the screen, but we can also, you know, use it in a phone setting. So I'm going to go into the phone setting here, and you can see this is live on my phone, and I basically am showing you the same page but on a phone setting, so that we have a lot of students who access their information that they're learning in a phone. And as you know, that's a very common setting that we see today. So we've really designed it to work in both sets. I also wanted to show you more specifically things that we've developed just for this particular virus outbreak. And this is available to all people. If you go to the Discovery Education main website, it's just discoveryeducation.com. The first button you'll see, the big one, says Get Started with Virtual Learning, will take you into a ton of free content and professional learning that will help students and help teachers adjust to this new world we're facing. If I scroll down, I'll see our simple approach to how we can help teachers adapt to this learning in 4 simple steps: discovering resources, going to our grab and go sites, sharing with students, and of course, what we think is really important down here is asking for help. Teachers learn best from other teachers, so we have something called the Discovery Educator Network. And what we found is that making sure that we're able to engage teachers with other teachers is very helpful. In fact, over the next 2 days, if you take anything away from what I've said today, send this to a teacher friend of yours. Tomorrow and Friday, we're holding a virtual conference for thousands of teachers and educators to learn how to leverage digital content so that they can really support students. They can sign up here, it's free. To give you an idea of the schedule, it is like a real conference, but of course it's virtual. And it has all run by teachers who are active in the classroom. And it includes everything from how to use a digital resource online, how to use VR, how to use phenomena to engage students, different apps that are really helpful. And of course, we're going to feature something that's brand new that we've built for the particular coronavirus that we're facing right now, and that is a new parent resource. We've called that the Daily DE, which, by the way, you can also reach for free out here. If you are in that page that I was just showing you and you go down to Daily DE, you will find a set of resources that is, if you're somebody at home with kids right now and you're looking for things to do for students, this is what we built this for. So if I go into, for instance, I'm going to go into week 1 of middle school, grades 6 to 8 here. We're going to build this out. I'm going to add a week every week for the rest of the school year. We're in week 1 and 2 now. So if I go into week 1 of Daily DE, I will see very specific ideas and instructional connections for every day of the week, starting with Minds on Monday, to Tundra Tuesday, to Welmer's Wednesday, Thursday Skill Day, and Field Trip Friday. We mix these up every week, and we tie in a lot of our partners that have already co-built products and support with us so that students will really be well engaged. For instance, this is one of my favorites. We have a TCS Ignite Innovation Challenge, which we have as part of our weekend challenge. And if I go into Minds on Monday, I'll see a connection to Tiger Woods Foundation, connecting into biomimicry and innovation. I go into Tundra Tuesday, I'm going to get into things like really cool virtual field trips. I could talk for hours about this, but I know that's not the intention here today, but I just wanted to give you a taste of what we're doing. So if you'd like to learn more, tune into that VertCon tomorrow. We're also, like ST, we're looking for more partners, and we're going to be looking to feature STEM careers that are attacking this coronavirus. So if you are interested in that, please get in touch with us. We're really looking to make those STEM careers pop as students are trying to learn their way through this strange new world we're in. So Ted, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Marty, thank you very much. One quick question before I let you go. I just was reading through some of the questions in the chat room. One, this works on Chromebooks? Oh
yeah, this will work on any device. It's HTML5, so okay. It's great. Chromebooks, iOS, you name it.
Yep, great. And this is for students and teachers.
It is, and the Daily DE we built specifically for parents, but typically cool. We've built for students and teachers.
That's great. Well, great. Thank you so much. I know you guys are really busy trying to reach so many students with your resources and engage with partners who I know a lot of, I talked to some of your colleagues this week, and a lot of industry partners that you work with and that we work with at STEM Connector are trying to respond quickly to this changing landscape and support the communities where their employees work and students writ large. And thank you very much for rising up to the occasion and making these resources more broadly available.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks. Take care. Well, our next group that's going to speak is located up in Boston. If you've ever flown into Boston or been in Boston, you've undoubtedly seen a building that straddles the Charles River between Boston and Cambridge. And that building represents the Museum of Science in Boston and traces its roots back to the 1830s, and its current iconic location was built following World War II. The Museum of Science in Boston is recognized as an innovative leader in supporting and enabling STEM education, not just in the Boston and New England area, but around the world. And one of their signature programs that we're going to focus on today is it's called Engineering is Elementary, or for those of us who know it well, EIE. This program provides curriculum to support early STEM learners and builds a fundamental understanding of engineering principles. As our friends at the Museum of Science say, science never stops. And so today we're going to hear from Jill Olson, who will share some of the ways that EIE is helping support students and their teachers and families as they navigate through this new learning environment. The museum has been Jill has been spearheading in her role as Director of Operations and Professional Development, their efforts to provide outreach in this new environment. And I even think you were maybe supposed to be on a webinar right now when I looked at your page. So we're very excited to have Jill speak today and look forward to learning more about some of the great resources that you guys have available. Jill?
Great, thank you, Ted. And yeah, we've got a small and mighty team who's tackling that webinar right now, and let me sneak away for a little bit to spend time with you all. So thank you for the chance to share out. We will talk about the museum at large in a little while, but we're really lucky because the curricular division of the museum, which is called EIE, has always been a part of the museum that's been able to reach students and educators across the country and across the world. So a lot of what we've been doing, we're really just working to support that now. Our curriculum is spread across 5 different programs for students in pre-K through 8th grade. And it's super hands-on. And right now that's a challenge because those hands-on materials are in most cases locked away in classrooms. So what we did was we started to think about, well, how can we support the parents who are at home with their kids, the parents who are becoming educators, and those educators who are still trying to practice distance learning with their students. So next slide, please. And the way we thought we could best tackle that right off the bat was through a new series of webinars. So we are continually working to build this library of STEM Beyond School webinars. These are 30-minute interactive experiences hosted by the EIE professional development team. And this week, the audience we really had in mind were adults, you know, whether they're parents or educators or both. We're excited to expand that audience. But right now, what we're focusing on, you can see this week's agenda. We built out one workshop, or one webinar rather, for developing pre-K problem solvers. So what we did to prepare for that was we thought about our pre-K engineering curriculum. It's called We Engineer. And we pulled out the design challenges for that curriculum. We've put them up on our website for free download. And yes, those were written with an early childhood educator in mind to implement with a classroom of 25 to 30 3 to 5-year-olds. So what the webinar does is it walks adults through how to adapt those activities so they can be implemented at home with much smaller groups of students. Luckily, the hands-on component of our curriculum, the materials, they're definitely household items. We use a lot of craft sticks and clothespins, cotton balls, paper clips, things like that. So in a lot of cases, those materials might be at home, but we're also brainstorming live on those webinars, responding to the chat to come up with different ways to innovate and still, you know, ultimately capture that problem solving that we're working to teach our children. We also have topics like engineering fun at home, technology is all around me. These are some of the main tenets of our curriculum. We talk a lot about how technology isn't just digital. We teach students to look at things like a spoon as a technology, for example. So those are all the types of topics that we're covering this week in our webinars. We really wanted to jump into action and immediately give families something that they could stop in with us briefly, spend just a little bit of time, learn a little bit from our team, and then as soon as that webinar ends, turn around and engage with their kids. That's this week's goal, but coming soon, we're really expanding, and we will soon be speaking directly to those educators who are, you know, maybe they are in the midst of working on one of our grade 1 through 5 engineering units with their kids in school, and they're leaning on us to talk about some different strategies to make those experiences digital. One of the units that we'd written years ago is called Outbreak Alert, Designing a Pandemic Response. And so in this unit, students learn all about biomedical engineers. They'll learn about the differences between, you know, I'll actually go into this a little bit, but what we're doing with the webinar is, again, taking that full unit that's meant to span 8 to 10 hours in the classroom, and instead be something that we can do at home with our families. So we are working through Eventbrite to get these webinars posted, and every week we will be offering new webinars. We'll be repeating some of the favorites from the week before. They're totally free, 30 minutes. They will all be recorded. They'll be posted on the museum website with closed captioning included, and every webinar comes with a PDF full of free downloadable resources from our website to support what we've done. So you can follow our hashtag STEMBeyondSchool to keep up with those webinar series. And next slide, please. So I get to dig a little into Outbreak Alert now. So again, this is one of the units that we'll focus on in our webinars. In the follow-up to this webinar, I think that you'll get a link that includes a video. And in the video, we actually have a student visit some biomedical engineers and learn a little bit more about the field of engineering that they work in and the work they do. So I have some stills from that video here, but part of what we walk through in that unit is really helping understand the definition of an outbreak, what needs to happen for that to escalate and be considered an epidemic, and then beyond that, what is it that has us considering, what's going on right now, a pandemic. So we're really excited that we had this unit available already. It's being taught in classrooms across the country, and our focus right now is to adapt it so it's accessible. We're very focused on access right now, so all families and educators can visit the museum website, visit EIE.org, and have access to this content to really help their kids understand what's going on around us, who is it working to solve these problems, and how can they start thinking in those same lines. A major goal of our curriculum is to help all students see themselves as engineers, as problem solvers. So this is a time that we don't want to ignore that mission. Great. Switching gears a little bit to some of the other free resources that we have available. For 15 years, we've been creating really high quality research-based pilot tested curriculum for the pre-K through 8th grade space. This year, we're really excited that we were able to launch a free STEM families program. So this is, again, a free download from our website. And what we've done is created activities that can be done at home, on the go, or even for STEM events at school. So the engineering at home activity that we've created is called Pass the Peppers. It's a 10-page PDF. And in this activity, parents and children, guardians and children will work together to figure out how they can engineer a solution. In this case, their grandmother lives a couple of apartments away, and they need to engineer a device that they can go ahead and pass the peppers from one apartment to the next, so the grandmother can make her sauce for dinner that night. And in this activity, just like in school, we use the engineering design process, the EDP, to really act like an engineer and explore materials, create solutions, imagine solutions, ask questions, and iterate on those designs. The engineering on the go activities are device agnostic, and these are just really quick sort of drop-in activities that parents can do with their kids. In I Spy Technologies, we're really just encouraging people to look at the world around them and spot different technologies that they might come across on a daily basis, but maybe don't think of as technologies. And in the technology categories, it's really a sorting exercise. And so these are types of things that, when we'd imagined them, we envisioned families waiting in line at the grocery store, or maybe on a car ride where the passenger is guiding the kids through the activities. We know a lot of those things aren't happening right now, and these are adaptable and can be done very easily at home. And this is the related activity. So Get Down was designed to be featured in STEM nights and events that we know a lot of schools across the country have. So this was designed for a little bit of a larger number of students, but again, it's all really easily adaptable. These educator guides, the family activity guides, they're all available in English and Spanish. So everything on the last two slides that we've talked through, you can download for free on our website, English or Spanish. And they're absolutely written in a way that whoever it is that's leading the activity doesn't necessarily have to have formal training and education. So they weren't necessarily written for that, elementary educator who's gone through a pre-practice experience. They're meant to be accessible. So Engineering Adventures is one of the 5 curricula programs that we have. This is designed for students in grades 3 through 5. The 3 units that you see here were developed through NASA grant funding. And so on our website, you can download these entire units completely for free. They're robust and they're designed to be done with larger groups of students. But again, the webinar series that I started off with is basically taking everything that we have with a classroom in mind and rewriting it in a way that we can just jump right in at home. So I'd encourage you to check out our website, eie.org. And if you navigate over to the Engineering Adventures tab, you'll find these 3 units and you can just download those for free. And on the next slide, we have Engineering Everywhere, which was designed for students in grades 6 through 8. And these are the 2 units that we wrote through the NASA grant as well. So again, totally free download. And just be watching our webinar series for when we feature these particular units. We also are making available a lot of components of our pre-K curriculum for free. So this is We Engineer. There are 4 design challenges in We Engineer and noisemakers where students are using, again, you can kind of get a sense of the household items here, craft sticks, pom-poms, pieces of ribbon and felt cut up. They're working to design a noisemaker for a puppet to take to a party. And so again, 3 to 5-year-olds, really what they're evaluating here is how loud is my noisemaker? And so we're asking students to try out different objects, put them in that box, shake it up, see how loud it is. And the educator guide that the parents can download is really, really helpful for giving them the language to use as their students navigate through that design challenge. And we also have in English and Spanish the family resource letters for each of the 4 design challenges. And really, this is enough for parents to kind of use as a jumping off point and continue on with, beyond noisemakers, designing wrecking balls and rafts and fans with their pre-K learners. And really quickly, just some other examples of the free resources that we have available on our website. The Technology Flashcards is an app that you can find on the Apple Store. We have our Tower Power activity. If you're looking at that picture there, this may be something that you've experienced in a professional development session at some point in time, but we've got all of the walkthrough and the steps for that activity. We have English and Spanish versions of our engineering design process poster that's available for free download, and a parachutes activity that will be accompanied by a webinar next week. And be on the lookout for what the museum will soon have to offer. So again, everything I just ran through is from EIE, the curricular division. But like Ted said, the exhibit halls may be closed, but science never stops at the museum. So if you follow the hashtag MOS at home and check out MOS.org, you will see starting next week that there will be options for guests to interact with our educators, download different STEM activities that we're working on now, listen to a podcast that's in production as we speak, and even participate in some virtual town halls. It's also going to be a great place, sort of a landing zone for all of the recordings of the EIE webinars and links out to all of the resources that I just mentioned. So visit MOS.org, visit the EIE page on Eventbrite if you wanted to kind of scroll through our webinar offerings. Again, they're changing and we're updating them every week, and our team is just really excited to gather feedback on what it is that parents and educators are in need of right now and respond. That's what we're doing on a daily basis, where the webinars we're delivering next week are 100% based on the feedback that we're receiving this week. So we're really excited to be able to work in a really agile, responsive way. So we just want to keep hearing how we can support, and we will do all we can to do that.
Jill, thank you so much. That's there's a lot of resources. I'm sure parents everywhere will be thrilled with the noisemaker. But I mean, it really is critical. And I know just my personal experience talking to my friends and family who have children at home that this is a major adjustment, especially if you work. So having high quality resources that that young people can dig into is fantastic. So thank you very much. Moving right along to our final speaker today is the Franklin Institute, which is located in Philadelphia. And like the Museum of Science in Boston, traces its roots back to promoting what I learned was actually called mechanic arts, which is an early word for engineering in the 19th century. And if you've ever been to Philadelphia, you know right where the Franklin Institute is. And sadly, just like the Museum of Science, the Franklin Institute is currently quiet because they are closed due to the current situation. But you know, the Franklin Institute is similar to the Museum of Science in that its mission has for a long time been to reach students outside of the walls of the museum exhibit halls and to connect with the community, not just in Philadelphia, but around the world. And so we're really fortunate to have two of the world's leading science centers as members in STEM Connector, and thought we would, the Franklin Institute was interested in sharing some of the resources that they've developed around a virtual museum. And like the Museum of Science, I get the sense this is a bit of building the airplane, like Karen said earlier, while you're kind of in the air. But the Director of Museum Programs and Outreach Initiatives, Jerry Truskin, is going to be speaking to us today and sharing some of the great work that she and her team are doing. Jerry's been with the Franklin for 10 years. And Jerry, I know you're really busy, so thank you so much for joining us and connecting with our audience. We really look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks so much, Ted. Hello, all. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm really inspired by the amazing resources we've learned about so far and excited to speak to some of the efforts that we have underway at the Franklin Institute. As Ted mentioned, like the Museum of Science, the Franklin Institute is a visitor-serving organization with 11 permanent exhibitions, live shows, events, and more, and we strive to bring the wonders of science to life on a daily basis. And like many others, we're faced with the challenge of bringing what we do so well in person to the digital space. And we know that people engage differently on digital platforms than they do in person, and we're working to be as nimble as possible during this really intensely challenging time. So some of the resources I'm going to show you today have been in the works for a while, and we're leveraging them differently now, while others are new responses to the current situation. Next slide. Some of the best things we do in the museum are our live science shows and demonstrations. I'm personally biased with that, given that this is my team that puts these together, but we have amazing educators who are skilled at presenting in uniquely fun, informative, and thoughtful ways. And we're eager to bring that skill to the digital space. With that goal in mind, we launched our Spark of Science video series in June of 2019, releasing them on average once a week on Facebook and Instagram. They showcase members of our education team doing some of their favorite demonstrations and have been universally well received by our community. Next slide. Each video is roughly 3 minutes long and focuses on a different science topic. All videos are indexed and accessible on our website, as you see here, and provide for a quick, engaging conversation starter for kids, families, and adults alike. They have wide appeal. I know lots of adults who enjoy them, and frankly, my 4-year-old can't get enough of them. He asks me over and over, "Can we watch more of your friends doing science videos?" So they've been really wonderful. So next slide. One of our most popular exhibitions is our Your Brain exhibit, which features 6 galleries, each with a number of digital initiatives, or digital interactives. The key content that we hope our visitors take away from the exhibit is that our brains are always changing. We've taken many of the games and activities from the exhibit, all of which were prototyped and heavily evaluated, and adapted them for use on our website. Next slide. While these 8 activities work best for people 8 years or older, engagement in each game or activity can range from 2 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how much they enjoy them. My personal favorite is the Make a Face activity, which quickly illustrates the way that the fusiform face area of our brains recognizes faces based on the position of the eyes, mouth, and other features. This area is always searching for facial features, which is why we see faces in everyday objects all the time. The activity illustrates this by allowing visitors to make and find faces with everyday objects, and I've seen both within the game on the web and also in the exhibit. People can sit for hours, or for not necessarily for hours, for minutes, 20 minutes at a time, and sit and create different faces. In addition, on this same site, we have curriculum for high school students about neuroscience and society. So parents who are home with their teens can easily access this curriculum, as well as other resources related directly to neuroscience. Next slide. The Franklin Institute strives to be a trusted resource for accurate science content and current science news. On Monday, March 16th, we launched a series of daily updates from our chief bioscientist, Dr. Jayatri Das. She breaks down the science behind COVID-19 and the pandemic in general, focusing on a different element of the news each day. Jatry provides clear and concise and thoughtful conversation points each day, and topics have ranged from the science behind different types of tests to an overview of what soap does to virus cell membranes and why non-soap cleansers don't work all that well. The most popular episode that she's done was a Q&A session last Friday, where she acknowledged so many of the questions that have been on people's minds, and it was just amazing to see how she wasn't afraid to admit when she didn't know something, and it made everybody feel welcome, and that there are just more questions than answers right now. This Friday, she's planning to do a session for kids and is involving her 9-year-old daughter, and we're really excited to see how that all comes together. You can catch Jayatri at 3 p.m., so right after this, you can rush over to our Facebook channel, and every Monday to Friday, she's on Facebook Live, and an archive of all of her talks is available on our YouTube channel. Next slide. Now, like many of you, we've also mobilized quickly to make additional resources available and to create content for kids and families. We're in the process of developing a new website hub under the title Franklin at Home. In addition to linking each of the resources I've already mentioned, we're developing a suite of offerings that provide hands-on science experiences at home using everyday materials. One such effort involves creating a series of science recipes, which are hands-on activities and explorations for families to do together at home. So each recipe will include a list of ingredients or supplies, step-by-step directions, and what we're calling the Franklin Institute quote-unquote special sauce, tips and questions for engagement. For example, instead of sitting and making slime with your family, we're going to equip parents with key questions that will deepen the experience and the learning. In addition, we have a series of videos that we developed over the past many months in partnership with the Center for Nanoscale Science called Mission Material Science. Each of these 8 explorations includes both activity instructions and a short video by and for youth scientists. We plan to begin sharing those in the coming week. And beyond that, next week we're also planning to test a Science and Stories family workshop model, again taking one of our tried and true programs and making it accessible to people in their homes. And then lastly, as we've been talking a lot about what we're doing for K-12 educators, we're really excited to bring together a group of local educators in the coming weeks for a focus group, digitally, obviously. We offer district-wide professional development and have amazing relationships with many of our local school districts and superintendents. So we want to make sure that we build out and curate resources that make sense for our partners. So after speaking with them, we'll be able to package our existing curriculum and other resources in a way that works directly for them. And then we'll implement accordingly. In general, our hope is to test different types of engagement and maintain our ability to be as nimble as possible during these constantly changing times. And I'm more than happy to talk through anything I've presented on, and you can feel free to reach out to me directly.
Thank you very much, Sherry, for this informative presentation. I feel like if maybe our parents of all the adults who are working with children, and maybe just all adults in general, would do some of these experiences, maybe we'd have a more informed society in general. So I think this is great stuff, and it's great to, the family engagement piece is something that a lot of us who are in this space always look at as an opportunity, and perhaps this is a right moment to a silver lining, if you will, as we go through this challenge. And also as we're looking at the news all the time, or just mindless content, this is a great place to direct folks to see some good content about that's quite educational and very high quality, and to answer questions in a scientific way. So thank you to everyone today for joining us. We will have all these profiles up on our website. I'm going to turn it back to my colleague, Ashley Zofer, who's going to give some final remarks. Please feel free to reach out to any of us at the STEM Connector team. And thanks so much to my colleagues at STEM Connector, who have done such a great job at making everything happen today. So Ashley?
Thank you so much, Ted. And just once again, thank you so much just to all of our incredible panelists, both for taking time out of your day-to-day to share this work, and just of course for all the work you're doing every single day to keep learning active in these uncertain times. We're so grateful to that work, just to echo Ted's sentiments. We've received a lot of questions in the chat function and are thrilled that people are engaged. We're going to be sure to direct those questions to our panelists and also answer many of them in our follow-up We're also going to share contact information for panelists and key links for how to access the information. We've had a lot of questions about receiving the slides, so just want to confirm we will share the slides with you as well as a recording of this webinar. You can feel free to share that across your networks. We really want to make sure people are getting access to this amazing information. And as I mentioned earlier, this was only the first in an ongoing series. We're always looking for additional content to share and connections to make. So please stay tuned for future opportunities and share your feedback and suggestions with us. Thank you so much once again. Please, everyone, just stay safe and healthy, and we are looking forward to our next chance to engage with all of you.